Hi, welcome to Family Engagement 101. Today's session is going to focus on the importance of engaging families. And what I want you to keep in mind as we go through the session today is that engaging families does not necessarily mean bringing them into an event. Some families, despite what we think about their actions, there are reasons why they will not come to a school. They will not come to an after-school program. So I challenge you to think about not only those families that frequently volunteer or that you see at family nights, but those families that have traditionally been a little more difficult to reach, families that you know that you've never seen within your program, and what can you do to engage them and help build their capacity to help their child succeed. So I'm Jennifer Wotring. I'm a senior program manager for the EdVenture Group. The EdVenture Group also is the home of the West Virginia Statewide Family Engagement Center, and I am a family engagement specialist that works with schools across West Virginia to help them look at what they're currently doing and seeing some things that they may be able to do a little differently to increase family engagement both inside and outside of the school. This is a little bit about our organization. Because our time is limited today, I'm just going to share with you the fact that we are committed to creating customized solutions. That's why we don't have a list of services and a list of products that you can purchase from us. We work with our clients, we work with our customers to really develop something that is meaningful and applicable to those that they're serving. You notice that it also says our vision is through co-created conversations and thought partnership that we help empower schools. I am passionate about and have done a lot of work with after-school programs in our state. And so that same vision that you see there before you about the EdVenture Group is the vision that I have for supporting after-school programs across West Virginia and beyond. As I mentioned, the West Virginia Statewide Family Engagement Center is a U.S. Department of Education project that we received a grant for approximately 5 years ago. And so some of the best practices, some of the research that I've learned that I'll be sharing with you today as it applies to after-school programs has come about as a result of the West Virginia Family Engagement Center work that we've done over the last 5 years. So today, we're going to learn a little bit about why family engagement is so important to student success. I'm going to challenge you to think about what you're currently doing to engage all families. We're going to review a snapshot of West Virginia families, and I think you'll recognize that many of the characteristics of these families are characteristics that some of your own families of the students that you serve possess. We're going to talk a lot about Dr. Steve Constantino. He had done extensive research around family engagement and written several books, but we're going to talk about the 7 big ideas of family engagement according to Dr. Constantino. And finally, we're going to understand why, or to discuss why after-school programs have a unique advantage when engaging families. We know that there's advantages to learning in after-school programs, but there's also some advantages that I think we could agree that after-school programs have when trying to work with maybe the more hard-to-reach families. So this is a quote. I'm not going to read you word for word, but if you need some additional time, I encourage you to just pause the video. But what I want you to think about when you think about this quote is that family engagement is not a checkbox. It is not something that you are going to walk in to your after-school program and look at a list and say, okay, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, and now my families are engaged. We recognize that everyone's plates are already full. And notice I said plates because we know that everyone is juggling, balancing multiple plates with a lot of tasking, a lot of work that needs to be done. So we want you to think about this as nothing that we are going to talk about is going to cause you to have more to do, no new energy, no new resources, no new time. It's just really rethinking what we're already doing and how we can make it better for families. So again, I'm going to ask that you kind of take a pause in the group that you're working with. If you're watching this alone, give yourself some time to think about this and really think about how your program is currently engaging families. What are you doing to help families increase their capacity to support their child's learning? Do you have an idea of how your program defines family engagement? Again, as I mentioned early on, family engagement doesn't just mean you're having a family night and people are showing up. Family engagement is about so much more than that. And I think you're probably doing things already that you don't even realize are family engagement. So take some time. If you're with a group, feel free to pause and discuss that. But really think about, what are you currently doing to engage the families of the students within your program? So we recognize West Virginia is a rural state that is not unique to the United States, in that many, many states are facing difficulty in education and even more so engaging families. Within West Virginia, we have a strong sense of family. We are in communities where people look out for one another. But unfortunately, many of our families have been impacted by the opioid crisis. West Virginia is consistently ranked at the lowest for academic performance, health and well-being, and then of course, broadband access in many of our most rural areas. And finally, limited resources and human capital create barriers to increasing family engagement. Many of our programs are struggling to find staff to work with our students, to be present with them at the end of the school day. So again, that creates a challenge to find the time and the resources and the individuals to engage with families. So what I want you to think about as you're thinking about and considering all of these things is the role of after-school programs, and what after-school programs can do really helps lessen many of the challenges that you see before you. That education is the way to overcome many of the things that we talked about on the side. And after-school programs really help support that learning with students who otherwise may not have any additional support outside of the school day. So as I mentioned, these are the 7 big ideas from Dr. Stephen Constantino. Again, our time today is very limited. So I encourage you, if you want to learn more about his work, a simple Google search will pull up some additional information. But as you think about these 7 big ideas, think about your program, think about the families that you serve, and think about the students. The first is, families are the first and most influential teachers of our students. So when you think about this isn't something that's brand new. We know that families are the first teachers, but what we want to realize is they have a voice in their child's success. They are the at-home first teacher. They are the person that should be there to support them when they return home at the end of the day. So we encourage you to remember that they're the experts on their children. So when you're looking to increase their engagement, seeking their input is an excellent strategy. Next, we're really good at engaging those families that are already engaged. We know those families that come to every event that we have. We know those families that are the first to step up when we ask our volunteers to do things. But what about those families that aren't? What about those families that have challenges or barriers to engaging with the after-school program? So really think about, when you're increasing your thinking and your planning around family engagement, how do we reach those families? What can we do to support them as well? Number 3, family engagement is not about doing more, but doing what we already do differently. We're doing something to get families to engage. We talked about that just a minute ago. We're good at engaging those that are already engaged. But how can we do that differently? How can we do that to really meet all families, regardless of whether they feel that they have something to offer? Every family has something to offer, and we need to be able to show them that they do. The next, family engagement is a process, not an event. You'll also hear family engagement is a marathon, not a sprint. And I think that we all, think about what we want to do, and it's overwhelming at times because we are so busy. It is a difficult challenge to face, but I will tell you that the the results, the impacts, the student success that comes from engaged families is well worth it. Number 5, relationships with families that are disengaged must lead to increased family efficacy. If you're not familiar with family efficacy, I encourage you to look that information up as well. If we think about what we are willing to engage in, what we are willing to support, there are things that we're comfortable with. If we're an English teacher, we're probably not going to be the first person to jump up and teach the Pythagorean theorem to a group of students. The same is true of families. Families will not engage in things that they think that they're not knowledgeable about, that they think that they may fail in. So make sure that we are not only increasing their presence, but also their capacity, that we're teaching them, that they understand what we're doing in our programs to help the students. Number 6, there's direct research correlation between underserved students and disadvantaged families. We know that many of our families, many of our students that we work with in the after-school programs come from families that may not have the resources to help them with their homework. And by resources, I don't just mean financial resources. I mean the education and the knowledge that comes from helping their child complete their homework. So think about those families, think about the underserved students, what role after school provides for them, and also how we can help those families that have been typically disengaged. And finally, without a process to build staff capacity to engage and promote family efficacy, the process cannot be sustained over time. So again, as I mentioned, I've done a lot of work with programs, not only to think about, okay, this is what we're doing with family engagement, this is what we can do a little bit better, but really how to think about it, how to approach those families. What are some of the first steps that we need to take to increase family engagement within our programs? But the idea is it is not a one and done type of thing. It's not one family event and you have great attendance. And so, okay, you check that off and say, we have engaged families. This is something that takes place and should be sustained over time. This is a quote from Henderson and Mapp, and I liked this because I think that this really shows the impact and the importance of family engagement. Many studies found that students with involved parents, no matter what their income or background, were more likely to, and again, here are the benefits, earn higher grades and test scores, enroll in higher level programs, be promoted, pass their classes, earn credits, attend school regularly. We know we have a difficult time with attendance currently, have better social skills, show improved behavior, and adapt well to school and graduate to go on to post-secondary education. There's also extensive research that we've began to look at the West Virginia Family Engagement Center around student success, family engagement, and a decrease in behavioral issues and those risk-taking behaviors that many times students begin to engage in as they reach the higher grades. So really look at this. Again, pause the recording if you need to, and think about the number of positives that can come from engaging families in your after-school program. So I mentioned this early on, and I truly feel that after-school programs have some unique advantages when it comes to engaging families. These are a few that I have identified, but I think that you'll agree there are more out there, and only you as the expert in your program can really identify those. But smaller group size can make building relationships easier. All of family engagement has the foundation of building relationships. Again, we talked about this earlier. People want to feel that they have something to offer. People want to feel that they belong, or that they belong somewhere. So creating that sense of efficacy within them, that they can do these things, as well as making them feel like they belong there to support their child, whether it's at home or in the program, is important. And that smaller group size can be less intimidating to many. After-school programs have a greater chance of in-person interaction with families that pick up. If you are a program that requires parent pickup, you have that opportunity to talk to that person, that caregiver, that family member who's picking up that child, engage with them, build that relationship. That's a positive before at some point in time, you may have to have that conversation with them that may be seen as negative. And finally, informal learning environment can be less intimidating. Many of our families are hesitant to engage because of their own experiences with school. Many times they have not had the best relationship with teachers or educators, other educators or administrators, and the informal learning environment of after school can be seen as less intimidating for those families. So building that efficacy within the after school program and letting those families see that they do have a place within that program, that school, and in their child's education can be the building block for increasing overall family engagement with families of children that we serve, whether we're in school or in out of school time programs. This is my contact information. Again, I know that the information shared today was brief, but we really just wanted to give you an overview of some of the things to think about when you're thinking about increasing family engagement. I'm happy to connect with you at any time through email, is usually the easiest way to reach me, but let's work together to support not only the students that we're serving, but also their families as we go forward. Thank you.